Hello, everybody. So today's December 5th, 2018, and I hope everybody is starting their December off well. Um, Getting ready for the Christmas season, the season of giving, the season of helping others, and like I would tell my wife, the season of every movie on TV is a Christmas love story, or watching the Hallmark Channel all the time. But it is definitely the season where we should be thinking of others and not just thinking of ourselves. Okay. And thus, I also have. I'll show you guys my shirt. Here's my shirt. See? It says OMG Santa. And if you haven't seen the movie Elf, it's pretty hilarious. I encourage you to go watch it if you kind of like that farce humor, which I do sometimes. But it's a pretty funny movie. Watch it every year with Will Ferrell in it. Anyways, okay. So the gist of this video today is basically the question should be, should I get a stem cell shot or should I not get a stem cell shot? And those that are kind of sitting on the fence contemplating whether they think the investment is worth it and whether it's going to help them or not, I will give you some of my thoughts on the matter, and I will give you some of the things that probably got me off the fence in making the decision to go forward with it. Okay, so I guess I'm going to go through some pros and some cons. Okay, so first off, I'll talk about some of the pros. Okay, so and before I get into that, let's talk about like if you're a candidate or not. Okay, so what determines whether you are a good candidate for a stem cell shot? Okay, and this is all from research that I have done, and based on my opinion after gathering all this research, this is how I've formulated a conclusion. Okay, for myself. Okay. So basically, the first question you have to ask yourself is, if you've been to the doctor and the doctor says we are going to need to fuse your joint, or they offer the cortisone shots, which basically all they do is prolong the inevitable, or they want to give you the medication, the ibuprofen route with the narcotics in order to mask the pain. Okay, so therefore you're masking the pain of it. Okay, I'm not saying that any of these are bad roads if that is your only option, but consider the fact of everything before you make your own decision. Okay. So if you've been to the doctor and the doctor says, hey, you have arthritis, and let's say that he said, okay, so they're going to say you either have severe osteoarthritis, okay, or they may say you have rheumatoid arthritis or whatever your arthritis is. They usually break it into three categories, okay. They've got severe, which is the worst case scenario. There's moderate. Sometimes they say moderate to severe, and then there's mild arthritis, which basically means that it's the beginning stages of the arthritis. Okay, so I was diagnosed with a moderate to severe arthritis in my ankle. Okay, and the doctor told me, because of the amount of pain that I was having, that the only option for me would have been to fuse the ankle, because he didn't recommend a ankle replacement, because he thought that they were so new on the technology that it might not be the most beneficial thing, and because he said that they usually have to replace them within every like 10 years or something. And to me, I was thinking, okay. And so and because it was my subtalar joint and not my main ankle joint, he thought the fusion surgery would be the best outcome, because it wasn't the full functioning ankle. It was the one that kind of goes side by side. But I'm telling you right now, you use that just as much as you use the other part of the ankle, okay? Based on my experience. Pain is pain when you're walking on something that doesn't want to be walked on all the time, okay? So, and at that point, obviously, I just wanted the pain to go away. But we got to use our heads and think about things before we make rash decisions based on what another person's opinion, that's a practicer, that's somebody that's practicing medicine, okay? So that went on for a very long time for me, okay? And I went to several doctors, got several opinions, the outcome the same, okay? That's when I turned to alternative forms of treatment, which was the stem cell. Did lots of research on it, okay? So basically, okay, so let's go to the 3 categories. Mild, moderate, severe, okay? If you have mild arthritis, that means you probably have quite a bit of cartilage left in there, and you could just have some lesions on the surface of the joint. Thus, I feel like the stem cell shot would help to reverse the deterioration quickly, and you would be able to probably heal rather fast on something along those lines, okay? And again, this is my opinion. Take it for what you will, but do your own research, okay? So moderate, I would say that there's still some cartilage there. There's significant damage, but I think a stem cell shot would still be able to recover, because there's still tissue there for the stem cells to grow on, okay? To be able to actually heal, to multiply on, okay? And then if you go into severe, if there's no cartilage left between the joints, how is a stem cell supposed to create cartilage without having any cartilage to grow on or to grow with, okay? Because you have no tissue. If there's no tissue there, then I don't know how that's going to be beneficial for somebody that has 0 cartilage. Now, if it's severe and you still have some cartilage, I would probably, if I was a good candidate, I would probably opt to do the shot in order to grow off of whatever I have, and then hoping, you're probably going to need several shots in order to continue that growing process to grow new tissue, okay? Now, the other thing you have to take into consideration is your age, okay? Obviously, if you're a teenager, if you're 15, 18 years old, 20 years old or whatever, and you go and you break your arm or you cut yourself, you're going to heal a lot faster than somebody that's 70 or 80 years old that falls down and cuts themselves or breaks their arm, because your stem cells in your body are a lot older than those of a younger person, okay? So a younger person is going to heal way faster than an older person. Thus, that's why stem cell therapy is effective, is because you're taking these stem cells out of what depends on which ones you're using. If you're taking them out of the amniotic fluid or the umbilical cord of a placenta, there's different kinds. There's bone marrow. There's all kinds of different stem cells. But whichever ones you're using, they're still going to come out of very new beginning phases of the generation where maximum growth. I mean, think about what it takes to make for a baby to grow with all those stem cells. It takes all those cells in order to help that baby grow. So you're going to need, you want maximum stem cells into your injured area, so that way it can go ahead and grow. And then take into account, when it comes to cartilage, there's not a lot of blood flow in between those joints. So if you don't have the blood flow in between those joints, your stem cells are not getting to the spaces that they need to get to. So therefore, how are they going to, if you can't get them there, if your body's not getting them there like it should, then how is it supposed to help heal the injured area? Okay, thus leading to the deterioration in the osteoarthritis. Okay, if you have rheumatoid arthritis, then obviously there's something else going on, and I would encourage people with rheumatoid arthritis to really look into their diet, see what they're eating, and get that into perfect check. You should be eating a lot of greens and a lot of the things. You should be eating very, very clean, simple foods, because that is a different form of arthritis, okay? Which we're not going to get into that. I'm basically covering the osteoarthritis where people have injured themselves in the past, or it could just be from repetitive use on the joint over the years, finally starting to wear down, and it needs to be repaired, okay? So that being said, should I get a stem cell shot? Okay, you got to ask yourself, what's your age? Okay, if you are older, that's okay, because you're still going to get some young, vibrant stem cells injected into the joint that needs to be injected. But your age helps, because it's going to help, because you're going to use your stem cells, because what they do is they take those stem cells and they mix them with your stem cells in order to give you like that magic potion that goes in between your joints in order to help grow the tissue. Okay, and this is based on, so take this for what you will. This is based on things that I have learned along this journey and this process. Okay, so age is a big factor, and the other thing is, what stem cells are you going to use? Okay, and I've read a lot about different kinds of stem cells. The bone marrow ones, I've heard a lot of good things about those. Those aren't the stem cells that I used, but I wouldn't be opposed to using something along those lines. Okay, so then you want to look at what kind of stem cells you're using, and and then the other thing is the doctor that's going to be doing the procedure. You don't want to use a doctor, or let's say it's a chiropractor who doesn't have a lot of experience, because a lot of chiropractors will do this procedure, and they really, I prefer using somebody that is practiced medicine, that is familiar with how the body functions, and somebody that can pretty much almost do this with their eyes closed, with lots and lots of experience. And that's why I've used my doctor, and he's fantastic. Best I've ever, one of the best doctors I've ever had. But I would definitely say the doctor is going to take a key role, because you want to make sure that somebody that has experience, that knows exactly how to read the MRI, knows what the joint condition is, has talked to you ahead of time, and makes you feel comfortable with your decision going forward, to make sure that you are getting the best procedure that you possibly can, and you're getting those stem cells put in the exact location that they need to go in. Because if you inject into your knee, and let's say you inject in the wrong part of your knee, all that money that you just spent on that injection is going to be wasted, because it didn't even get the injured area. So you want to make sure that they are injecting that into the injured area, and make sure they're putting enough of the stem cells into that area as well. Like on mine, I think it was probably 15 different shots into the ankle to make sure that we got every area, and he feathered it and made sure that we covered all those areas. So that way those stem cells were able to work in the entire joint and make sure that we are covering all the areas. Okay. that's kind of a brief overview on that. Okay, so your age, what kind of stem cells you're going to use, the doctor that's going to do the injection, and then who's going to do it, which doctor, and then the price involved. Let's talk about price. If you try and skimp out on something like this to save a few $100, you could be getting some faulty procedure. This is one of those things that I would not try and save a few bucks on. Obviously, there's a lot of doctors that are going to charge a astronomical amount of money for these injection procedures, so it's very important that you take into account who's doing it, how long they've been doing it, and compare your prices. But that's a bunch of research that everybody needs to do on their own. Just like in my other videos on how to make a decision and stuff, is that you got to take into account, you have to make your own decision, and when you feel good about your decision and you're ready to move forward, that's when you'll go forward with the procedure, because you feel good that you've made the right decision, and no matter what the outcome, either way you're going to be okay with it. Okay, which gets me into the last part of this segment, and that's basically talking about whether it's worth the money or not. Okay, so you have to ask yourself one question. Okay, the question you have to ask is, if you've been living in pain for a long time and you feel like you're a good candidate for the stem cell procedure, okay, and even if sometimes maybe you don't feel like you're a good candidate for the procedure, you got to ask yourself, if I do this procedure and it does not work for me, I'm out this amount of money, am I going to be okay with that? Am I going to be okay with being without this kind of money, because I've done all my research and everything? And the second thing you have to ask yourself is, if there was any chance of me recovering from this injury or even getting somewhat of my life back, is it worth the money or the pain, the small amount of pain that you have to go through? Is it worth that to me to move forward with this procedure, or do I want to continue moving in my life going in the same direction I'm going now? Okay, and then you also have to ask yourself, have I exhausted all other avenues and resources before having to turn to this kind of procedure? And if you can answer yes to all of those, that yes, I'm okay with that, then you probably are going to answer your own question based on that. Okay, but you got to be okay with either outcome. You got to be okay with and you have to just say, if it doesn't work, that's okay, because I know that avenue does not work. It may have been an expensive avenue, it may have been a little bit painful, it may have cost me a little bit of time in my life, but now I know that avenue didn't work for me. But on the flip side, if it does work, it's going to be that much more of a reward for you in the future. Okay, and then one more thing to take into account, hope. Okay, I made a video on hope, but here's the thing. Sometimes we have to make decisions in our life based upon hope, because it keeps us moving forward. So even if you go to get the procedure and you're hoping that it works, and it keeps you alive and feeling and gives you that sense of wanting to press forward and pushing through in life, then the journey alone was worth it all. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense, but basically what I'm saying is, sometimes it's the journey is what we need instead of the outcome. Okay, because let's just say with a shot, let's say that you're depressed because of your arthritis, or because you have this joint that's causing a lot of depression in your life. Well, if you go and if you go it through, does it cause excitement to you going, you know what, I'm going to go forward and I'm going to get this procedure? Does that give you enough oomph inside of you to keep you moving forward and put your depression and your anxiety at bay, because you feel the hope that you can move forward with your life and you're going in the right direction? Whether it works, whether it doesn't work, you're still doing something. You're still moving forward. You're not just sitting there every single day waiting for another video to pop up for me to try and tell you something that you already know. So that's the other thing, Now, after all of this, if it's something that you decide that you want to do, I hope that it works out great. I can't guarantee anything because I don't know, and I'm not a doctor by any means, but these are the questions that I had to ask myself before I moved forward with the procedure, which I did twice. Okay, I went through the pain twice on the shot, and if you look at the past videos, you'll see exactly the whole experience on how it was. You know, and it's worked out good for me, but I don't know what the outcome is going to be for you. But if you can answer all those questions I just went over, and truly tell yourself that this is something I need to do, then move forward. All right? Okay, guys, I'm running out of video time. That's it for today. Merry Christmas, everybody, and we'll be seeing you later. Thanks.